Good evening. It is 6 p.m. and we are starting this evening with an executive session for 30 minutes. The purpose of this executive session is to discuss potential litigation and the legal or financial risks of a course of action. We will see you back here at 6:30 for our regular session. Thank you. Good evening. We have a full house. I just reminded the audience of this, and I'll just say it one more time, now that mics are on. Just for safety reasons, we ask that there's no standing in this room. We are so excited to have as many people as we do have here tonight, but we just ask that you use our overflow room. We will make sure that there's always time for people to get here for public comment if you are coming from an overflow room. So, thank you very much for helping us with our safety on that. It is 6:32. Our executive session ended at 6:28. Board members in attendance of the executive session in person were Director Williams, Director Gregory, Director Cook joined at 6:04 online. We are calling our regular meeting to order. We will start with attendance. If each board member will indicate their presence by saying present. Director Cook?
Present.
Can you turn him up? I did hear him say present, but it's very low.
Director Cook, could you indicate your presence again?
Sorry, I turned up my mic too.
There we go.
If that's too loud, let me know.
Nope, that's perfect. Director Cook is present. Director Williams?
Present.
Director Song is absent. Vice President Gregory?
Present.
And I am present. Director Williams, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. This is a meeting of the Kent School District Board, which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We welcome the public's participation in this board meeting and thank those of you who have come to this meeting and those who are viewing via our live stream. The purpose of a board meeting is for the board to conduct its business in public. During the meeting, the board will listen to but not respond to comments from visitors. Whether made verbally in person, verbally on video, or written, comments are limited to a total of one per person per regular board meeting. One additional comment per person may be submitted for public hearing topics if there's a public hearing on the agenda. All forms of public comment are subject to Chapter 4256 RCW Public Records Act. The public may comment at regular board meetings in a manner authorized by state law. All comments must adhere to Policy 1420 and Procedure 1420P. If you wish to make a comment to the board, comments forms are available for completion prior to the meeting and must be turned in no later than the beginning of the legislative report. No forms will be accepted once this report has begun. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Public comments will be heard after the agenda review. Students will be the first to speak on any topic during the student voice portion of the agenda, which takes place immediately following this opening. General public comments from non-students will be heard during preliminary communication from the audience. Any remaining comments from students or non-students will be heard at specific agenda items and during final communication from the audience. Student comments will be heard first on any topic. Please state your first and last name prior to the beginning of your testimony. We do that so we can follow up with you. So it really does help if you can give us your name. Abusive public comments personally directed towards the board, staff, or students will not be tolerated. The use of specific names or personally identifiable information of board, staff, or students is not allowed. So again, we ask that you do not specifically name any board, staff, or student or give personally identifiable information. Board members or KSD staff members may interrupt or terminate an individual statement when not adhering to Procedure 1420P. All comments, whether verbal or written, must adhere to the standards of civility as defined in Policy 1400, meeting conduct, order of business, and quorum. For those of you that this is your first evening coming to a board meeting, we listen to public comments. I know it seems a little awkward. We're not able to respond in the moment. We also ask that so some people get claps or not, and the disruption of that. This is a board meeting for the board. We ask for silence during and after comments. If you're seated in an overflow room, there is a brief delay in the live stream audio. We will not allow extra time for you to make your way to the boardroom after your, I don't know if I said that right. We will allow extra time for you to make your way to the boardroom after your name is called. Individuals with items for the board or superintendent must provide the items directly to safety services staff. Approaching the dais during the board meeting is not allowed. Any items turned in will be provided to the board and superintendent following the meeting. Vice President Gregory, will you read our land acknowledgement?
The Kent School District Board of Directors acknowledges we reside on the traditional lands of the Muckleshoot Indian Tribe who have lived in this region since time immemorial. We honor their continued stewardship to this land, its waters, and its communities. We commit to ongoing learning, meaningful partnerships with Native communities, and uplifting the sovereignty of the Muckleshoot people.
Thank you, Vice President Gregory. Our next item is the agenda review. Superintendent Vella, are there any changes to the agenda?
President Margell, there are no changes to the agenda.
Is there a motion from the board?
Move to approve the
Sorry, I
agenda.
couldn't hear Superintendent Bella.
President Margell, there were no changes to the agenda.
Thank you.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for the approval of the agenda as presented. We are now open for discussion. Seeing as there's none, a motion's been made and approved for the approval of the agenda as written. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
He said it. I said it over him.
Director Cook, just to make sure that we can hear it.
Yeah, aye.
Thank you. The motion passes 4-0. Our first section next is our student voice section. And
President Margell, we do not have any student voice comments tonight, either in person, online, or written. We do have in-person general comments, which I'll hand to you now. And we do, just for reference, do have an online video general comment and a written comment.
the written comments will be provided to the board for your review if you have not done so already. Our online video general comment will be the last comment that we will have after we go through all of our in-person. We will do 30 minutes of public comments up front. The remainder will go to the end of our section that is later in our agenda after our other parts of our agenda. Our first comment today is, thank you. Our first comment today is, and I apologize, I do really try to get names right. I will do my very best, but please correct me because I do want to get your name correct. Denisha Saucedo? Denisha Saucedo?
Yeah, it's Denisha Saucedo, but thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Denisha Saucedo. I'm a fifth grade teacher at Kent Elementary, 23 years. Little history, I'm a 2018 District and PSCSD Regional Teacher of the Year. I'm part of the leadership and planning team for the Kent Educators of Color. I sat on several OSPI committees, ethnic studies. I was there to write the cell indicators. I could go on and on and on and on. I give you this list of accolades in hopes that this time you will listen. 3 years ago, I stood here before some of you, and I spoke about the inequities in our contract and about how some roles were given added protections while others expected to carry more quietly. I want to be clear. General education teachers were never upset about the dual language teachers receiving extra protections. We understand it. We respect it. But what we didn't understand then, and we still don't understand now, is why general education teachers are asked to carry larger class sizes, we deal with more complexity within our jobs, more responsibilities without the same level of support and protection. I warned you then, I'm gonna warn you now, it has kind of come back to haunt us. Today, we have found, not today, but we know today that the program is being moved out of our school due to under-enrollment across sites. This decision has been made. It is final. What is not clear is what's going to happen to us as teachers. So will the contract be followed? Right? Will general education teachers be then misplaced? Because what happens is DL teachers have extra protections that says they cannot be involuntary transferred. Will seniority matter? We're not getting the answers that we need. And then certainty has caused teachers to just feel, a certain kind of way. Let's get back to what's important is the students. Because stability matters, consistency matters, relationship matters. For the last 23 years, I've sat at the same school and taught at the same school. I've built relationships with families, with siblings, with entire communities. I have grand students, y'all. Like, I have kids who I taught their parents. Seriously, every single day, I walk into my classroom where I differentiate instruction from preschool kids to 8th grade. Tell me what I don't do. But my students, they're resilient, they're brilliant, they're full of humor and possibility, and they deserve the best of us. So what do they need? They need consistency, they need connection, and they need adults who are going to be there for them. So in my school, you don't just teach. We are educators, we are counselors, we are problem solvers, we are their trusted adults. We build relationships knowing any day they can be disrupted. And all of us go above and beyond. I coach track for free. I coach dance for free. I lead our school equity team. I sit on the MTSSB team and MTSSA team, leadership team. Not because, it's just something extra to do, but because my kids deserve it. And I'm not alone. My husband, also a Kent Meridian graduate, forgot to mention that earlier, has now been teaching for 10 years.
Thank you, Ms. Saucedo.
Yes.
Our next speaker is Jake Sekulish.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jake Sekulish, and I am here on behalf of a kindergarten teacher at Springbrook Elementary, and I'm reading letters from parents of her teacher, or parents of her students and her colleagues. There are so many that I will not be able to finish, but I'll go ahead and read until my timer is up. I'm from a parent. I'm writing this letter for the kindergarten teacher for my daughter. Her job as a kindergarten teacher should be retained. My daughter loves her teacher, and I have to say how much happiness and encouragement I see in my daughter. I am impressed by how she loves being at school. She doesn't want to miss a day. She gets mad at me if I do early dismissal for her. Her teacher is doing a good job as a teacher, and she creates happiness and a welcoming learning environment for her student. When I pick her up from school, I could see the happiness and friendship in all of her classmates. Everybody looks happy at the end of the school day. They greet each other by saying bye and waving their hands. They don't seem to wear out or stressed for having long days at school. I keep thinking of what a happy class I notice in every day. I notice a difference even in her older siblings that are motivating her. I notice too that my daughter is always bringing notes with drawings from her classmates, and she almost every day of the week, always at home, whatever she's doing in her spare time, coloring, drawing, or any art that she takes to her teacher and says, "This is my present from my teacher because I like her so much." I appreciate having a good, caring teacher for my daughter, and I have seen the impact that it makes on my student, especially for her. I'm sure my daughter will never forget her kindergarten teacher in the future. I am thankful because my daughter is learning all of the needs and goals that she has for this grade. She's a happy student in her classroom, and our kindergarten teacher at Springbrook really needed to be a teacher and help her students. The next one here is I'm writing as a parent of a student at Springbrook Elementary to express my strong support for my student's kindergarten teacher. My son currently in her kindergarten class, and our experience this year has been extremely positive. One of the things that stood out most about this teacher is her patience and true dedication to each student's growth, especially since my son's first language isn't English. We believe this teacher's position should be retained because she's helped students learn and grow. She supports her students and works to help them in the best way that she can in the school.
Thank you, Mr.
Sorry.
Sekulish.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Alfonso Saucedo.
Hello, everyone. Alfonso Saucedo. I would love to yield my time to Denisha Saucedo.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish up and tell you what's going on in our building. So, we have about 22 teachers in our building. We're gonna lose about half. So think about this. Think about if half of you had to go. And every day you're like, oh, where'd the other half go? So, not only are we losing half, but we don't know how that's gonna happen. More than half of us are like, is it me? I've been there for 23 years, but I am a general education teacher. Dual language teachers say they cannot be IVT. Gotcha. So dual language teachers are like, they're moving us. It's gonna be me. So they are worried. Nope, we are gonna leave. We don't know what's going on. They're worried. It's gonna be them. And then there's all the new teachers that are like, nope, it's gonna be me. So the entire building is like, what is going on? And they asked me to ask a few things. First, why was this decision made without a plan first? That's number one, right? Number two, our building is unique and it always has been unique. We work hard. We work very, very hard. And we have said for years that this doesn't work for our building. You can't just throw in a contract that works for some schools. In our school, it doesn't. You need to look at us like we are our own unique entity, and you need to realize what is going to happen when you erase half of our staff. And then the biggest ask of all, and this ask is of the district and of the union. We need you to be adults. We need you all to put your big boy pants on, and we need y'all to work like a team. We need you guys to stop feeling like one is out to get the other. We truly believe that you can work together to solve this issue. I don't want to hear the district did this and the district did that. I don't want to hear the union did this. I don't want to hear it. I just want you to sit in a room and solve it, because it's not about you. It's not about who won that battle. It is about the kids, and the kids deserve consistency, and they need us to solve problems like we asked the Kelso's choices. We need y'all to use your Kelso's choices. We need you guys to sit down, make a decision, figure this out. We know you can. We trust. We know you can. We know you can. We just need you to sit down and do that together. We want what's best for students, and we want you to do what's best for students. My union, we need you to look out for us. Kent Elementary, I'm going to say it again. Kent Elementary needs you to look out for us. We are not the same as every building. I'm not going to stand up here and say we're better, because that would be horrible to say. We're just different. We're unique and we're special. And we want you guys to know that. We do not follow the same line and the same path.
Thank you, Ms. Sacedo. Renee Johnson?
Thank you, members of the board. I'm also reading on behalf of a kindergarten teacher at Springbrook Elementary. There were that many letters. My dearest greetings, KSD and SBE. I hope this school year has brought each of you joy, along with many encounters filled with success and reminiscence of your purpose with how it serves towards the growth of children's education. This kindergarten teacher teaches my daughter. Kindergarten is a new adventure for her, of which she was excited and nervous about. Being her parent, it was part of my role to prepare her for all the fun she was going to have, all the friends that she would make, and all the things that she would learn. My daughter's teacher has gone above my expectations with what I wanted in a teacher for my child. At this time, I'd like to share personal experiences that in my eyes have painted her to be an outstanding teacher. Weekly emails are received, filled with information on curriculum on all subjects and tools that we as parents can use to practice with our students. This is one example of the dedicated efforts I see from her teacher, displaying excellence in serving as a teacher. Another example is one that touches my heart and that I find an abundance of appreciation in. Art projects that my daughter creates in class and gets to bring home. We get to see a piece of her creativity and hear the knowledge gained behind the project. The best part for me is being able to keep that part of my daughter's kindergarten year they will be able to reminisce when she's older. Which then, I also know she'll still remember her teacher, because people who impact your life positively are always remembered. The most prominent direction that her teacher has taken is her awareness in ways that my daughter can at times feel overwhelmed and emotional. The comfort and guidance she receives is rest assuring for a parent who hopes their child is safe and cared for at school. Zen Zone is a resource that was suggested by this teacher. This time and place helps my daughter with her emotional awareness and wellness. To see that her teacher is so attentive and invested in her student reaffirms that my daughter really has a great teacher. Though I've composed this letter to advocate for my daughter's teacher and her position as a kindergarten teacher, I'll also add words from her student, my daughter. When asked, "Why do you think your teacher is a good teacher?" In her words, "I love my teacher. I love that my teacher cares about everybody. She always makes me smile. She makes sure all of us get attention. We take turns, and we are ready to learn." The class of 2037 and classes to follow will be set up for success if students have what they deserve, a good school that provides dedicated and exceptional teachers and staff. Concluding this letter, not just from my heartfelt opinion as a student's parent, but from the academic experience of this teacher, I ask and support that all future kindergarten students have the opportunity to be with an exceptional teacher such as this one. I have a whole nother letter, but I have 5 seconds from a colleague. She's invaluable.
Thank you very much, Ms. Johnson. Our next speaker is Devin Sekulish.
Right. Good evening, members of the board, families, and members of the KSD community. My name is Devin Sekulish. I began my work in Kent School District in 2019 as an EACE paraeducator. Since then, I have earned my teaching certificate, my bachelor's degree, my master's degree in education, and I've served as a certificated teacher in both ECE and kindergarten classrooms. That's 8 years that I have dedicated to my students of this district, 8 years of investing my time, my personal finances, and my energy into creating safe, enriching, developmentally strong learning environments. My entire professional journey has been rooted in early learning and in serving the students and families in this community. And yet, despite this commitment, I now feel disposable. The experience I've gained, the materials I've purchased, the growth I've supported in students, the advocacy I've provided, and the relationship I've built have been treated as though they hold no value. I believe that I've been swept into the fallout of district budget challenges, and I do not feel the district has acted in good faith, particularly in withholding my contractual right to apply for and to be placed in the vacant position I am currently serving in as a leave replacement based on admin support. As a kindergarten teacher, I support some of the most foundational firsts in a child's education. For many students, this is their first educational experience. It's where they learn how to form friendships, to collaborate, to understand what it means to belong. It's where they're learning letters, sounds, numbers, how to hold a pencil, how to read their first word, how to see themselves as capable learners. Some students experience their first opportunities to explore art, sensory materials, and science tools, many of which I have personally added to our classroom. Others feel the pride of writing their name for the first time, or the comfort of being greeted every morning with a warm hello, hug, or a high five. And for many, it's the first time they have a teacher who adapts instruction, differentiates learning, and advocates fiercely for their needs. These are the firsts I've been honored to provide at Springbrook. I show up every single day for my students as their teacher, their advocate, and their consistent, caring adult. I'm here tonight because the district has not upheld the KE contract language that protects leave replacement teachers. The position I've been in has been vacant and unposted for since January 28th, before the hiring freeze. My administrator attempted to place me in the role, but HR's delays, shifting explanations, and lack of transparency prevented that from happening. As a result, I've been denied the contractual opportunity to either be placed in the position or apply for it. This failure to follow contract language has placed my career, my financial stability, and my family in an extremely vulnerable position. Being told it's now possibly too late, that I might need to wait until September, is not reasonable, not contractually aligned, and not reflective of a district that claims to value and retain high-quality educators. Kent School District's mission is to successfully prepare all students for their futures. Retaining experienced, dedicated educators, especially in early learning, is essential to achieving that mission.
Thank you, Ms. Sekulish.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Lauren France.
Hello, Good evening, members of the board, families, and members of the KSD community. I'm here tonight to respectfully urge the board to reconsider the decision not to offer a permanent full-time contract to our colleague, who is currently serving as a leave replacement at Springbrook Elementary. According to the KEA contract, when a position becomes vacant due to a resignation, that vacancy may be posted or filled by a leave replacement when recommended by the principal. In this case, a vacancy clearly exists. Our colleague has fulfilled the responsibility of this role with consistency, professionalism, and effectiveness, and she should be given the opportunity to step into the permanent position she is already doing. When our colleague accepted this role, she did so with the reasonable understanding shared by many educators that strong performance, commitment to a school community, and success in a leave replacement position would position her as a priority candidate for permanent placement. Despite her dedication, positive evaluations, and impact on students, she continues to face job instability. That uncertainty carries very real professional and personal consequences despite the value she brings to our school. The decision to remove her and place this position into the IVT process raises serious concerns about its immediate impact on students, families, and staff. At Springbrook, stability matters, especially in kindergarten. Our colleague has built trusting relationships with students during a critical year of social, emotional, and academic growth. Families depend on consistency and communication, and removing a teacher who has established that trust creates disruption students will feel. This decision also impacts her teammates. The current kindergarten team is cohesive, collaborative, and effective. That level of alignment does not happen by chance. It takes time. Another transition means restarting that process, increasing workload, and risking a model that is currently working well for us and for our students. There is also a clear instructional concern. Replacing a proven, effective teacher with an IVT candidate who may still be developing foundational skills introduces unnecessary uncertainty. While IVTs are important, they are by definition still in training. It is reasonable to question whether removing an experienced teacher in favor of a potentially trending basic replacement truly serves students or reflects our district's commitment to excellence and student-centered decision-making. Ultimately, this is not about one educator. It is about what we value as a district. This decision is an opportunity for the board to affirm that in this district, proven dedication, stability for students, and commitment to our school communities truly matter. Our colleague has shown up every day for Springbrook's students, families, and staff. She has earned her place in our building and in this role. I respectfully ask the board to intervene and support offering her the permanent full-time contract she has already demonstrated she deserves.
Thank you, Ms. France. Next speaker is Lester and Apollo.
Good evening, Kent School District Board. My name is Lester Apello, and one of the parents of kindergarten at Springbrook Elementary School. I'm here to read my letter. I am writing wholeheartedly to recommend my son's teacher at Springbrook Elementary, who has had an incredible impact on my child's education and confidence. She is currently teaching my child in kindergarten at Springbrook Elementary School, and I have witnessed her passion and dedication to every student's growth. In that time, I have seen this teacher consistently demonstrate exceptional commitment to students. She also brings creativity to every lesson, fosters inclusivity in the classroom, communicates with compassion, celebrates each child's progress. My child went from struggling in communication to now focus on clarity, active listening, and a change I credit entirely to the teacher. Unwavering support, understanding, and patient, engaging teaching style. I have another 2 children who will be in school soon, and I would like them to experience such a caring and effective educator like her. And I believe her role as a teacher at Springbrook Elementary should be retained. Please let me know if you have any question. That's all.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Thank you, Ms. Pello. I think we'll have time for two more. Keith Swan.
Hello, my name is Keith Swan. I actually currently teach middle school in a different district, but I used to teach in Kent. So before I read my letter, I do want to say one of the biggest strengths in the Kent School District is its teachers. And so I think that they should all be protected. So, dear members of the board, I am writing in support of my daughter's kindergarten teacher. My daughter's teacher has demonstrated proficiency in developing a culturally responsive classroom, welcoming all students. Every day at pickup, I'm amazed at the community that has been built in her classroom. As we exit campus, every student in my daughter's class will yell goodbye to each other, calling out each classmate by name in a ritual that doesn't seem to end until every student has left campus and is out of sight of one another. As a result, school is something my daughter looks forward to every day. She makes sure to draw pictures for her friends and teacher in her free time that she can bring to class the next day. In fact, my daughter loves going to school so much that she was horrified to learn that in December, her first extended break in her school life, that she wouldn't see her teacher for 2 weeks. My daughter's teacher's efforts to create a welcoming environment have shown dividends in learning and achievement. I've noticed that my daughter's reading ability has grown significantly. My daughter has been using strategies at home to improve her reading, such as blending sounds on her arm. I can see that every day my daughter's confidence is boosted in her classroom, leading to growth in her reading skills. The same is true for math. My daughter will routinely quiz me on 10 friends to demonstrate her addition and subtraction skills that she has learned in class. As a teacher myself, I understand how important teamwork can be to the success of a PLC or department. Our family has seen firsthand how well the kindergarten team works together. My wife chaperoned a field trip and saw up close how well the kindergarten team worked. I myself have witnessed the kindergarten team wear a group costume for the Springbrook trunk or treat after school function. As a teacher myself, I have been in group costume PLCs, and I have also been in skip the optional activities PLCs. Trust me, if you want a high-functioning school with buy-in from staff, you want to make sure you keep the group costume PLCs together. It is clear that my daughter's teacher is a distinguished teacher capable of building an inclusive classroom, fostering student learning, and contributing to the professional collaborative environment of Springbrook Elementary. My daughter's teacher deserves to stay at Springbrook, and Kent students deserve an excellent teacher, like my daughter's teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. Donna Siegel.
Sorry, my voice is cracking. My name is Donna Siegel. I'm currently a kindergarten teacher at Springbrook Elementary. I'm speaking tonight to address a critical issue when district systems lack transparency and consistency. It undermines the trust and staff morale and ultimately the mission of the district to prepare our students for the future. The position my colleague is currently serving became vacant on January 28th, 2026, when a teacher on leave resigned and confirmed that she would not be returning. Under this KEA collaborative agreement, section 4.8B, this vacancy should be posted and the leave replacement could be hired if recommended by the principal. In this case, the principal has clearly and consistently supported hiring my colleague, who is fully qualified and really already performing in this role. Despite this, the district has neither posted the vacancy or allowed my colleague to be hired. When asked for clarity, Human Resources have stated that the opportunity to post and fill this position has passed, that the district needs to wait until the IVT position has been completed, or when your leave replacement contract, you are not necessarily replacing the person in your building, but someone in the district. The number of leave replacement contracts must be equal to the number of people on leave. and according to the district, they have already moved the same number of people to a permanent contract to equal that number of people who are not returning. According to the KEA collaborative agreement, the district is required to follow a clearly defined process in handling employee matters. The provisions exist to ensure fairness, consistency, and transparency for all staff. When this procedure is not consistent, applied, it is a violation of the contract and undermines the trust in the system that supports our educators. Today, I raise concerns about how employee matters are being handled within the district and within the process are being carried out consistently and in good faith. Situations like my colleagues affect more than one individual. When the process appears inconsistent, unclear, and consistent, trust erodes, and that affects morale. Student board members have an oversight responsibility.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. I think we have enough time. Let's get one more in. Jen Huck.
Hi, good evening to the board and the KSD community. My name is Jen Huck, and I'm the library paraeducator at Sunrise Elementary. I'm back again to speak, and I'm speaking again for my students and all the students in the Kent School District. I want to say these kids, they want and deserve to have their school libraries open all day. We need to keep the library paraeducators. I want to ask the board a couple questions, and I know you can't respond, okay? But these are from my kids, okay? Mrs. Huck, did they read the letters? Sunrise Elementary sent 75 letters from our students to you, the board. I hope you got to read them. They want the library to stay open. They want Mrs. Huck to be the paraeducator. They want all the paraeducators to stay. They don't want my librarian to have to do it all. The kid said the library is going to be a mess, and that's a quote, okay? I wanted to let you know what's been going on, too. At Sunrise, we just had our second book fair of the school year. These are huge fundraisers for our library. If you've ever been to one, you know they're really exciting for our kids. Our wonderful PTA gives the library all the proceeds, everything, so we can buy new books for our students. And if you aren't aware of this already, our library budget has been cut drastically over the years. We rely mostly on this PTA funds to buy books for our kids. Without the PTA, we wouldn't have barely any books. During this last book fair, I talked to many concerned parents about the potential library para cuts, and I can tell you for a fact they don't approve for them and they don't like them. They're appalled. Families want the libraries open and run efficiently for their kids. Parents, staff, and students spend thousands of dollars, over $20,000 I know at Sunrise for proceeds. Each year, we don't get that, but that's what they spend, just for that purpose. And if you cut my job and shut the libraries down during the days, families know this is going to lead to less access to books, which is going to lower our literacy rates, test scores, create more screen time for the kids, and students will lose the ability to learn how to research for school projects. My biggest fear is the library will see a huge drop in book fair donations. Why would families invest in their child's library if KSD will not? You got to think about that. Lastly, literacy is so important to our kids. All academic subjects rely on students' ability to read. You can't do chemistry, you can't do math. And plus, keeping kids' schools, the libraries staffed and open during the day solves an equity issue. All kids get books. KSD cuts hurt our kids.
Thank you, Ms. Huck. Our next section is our recognition, and we will start with Director Williams and our proclamation around National Occupational Therapy Month.
Whereas the American Occupational Therapy Association has declared the month of April to be known as National Occupational Therapy Month, And whereas the profession of occupational therapy makes valuable contributions in helping people live life to its fullest after an illness or injury. And whereas the services of occupational therapy are available to citizens of Kent through hospitals, home health agencies, schools, clinics, and nursing homes. And whereas the health and productivity of our citizens depend upon the effective use of healthcare resources, including the important services of occupational therapists and occupational therapy assistants. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kent School District Board of Directors does hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Occupational Therapy Month, and calls upon all citizens to recognize the achievements and contributions of these valued health professionals. Signed this 25th day of March 2026.
Thank you, Director Williams. Director Cook, will you read our proclamation around Autism Awareness Month?
Yeah, sorry, I had some trouble getting to the microphone. Whereas autism spectrum disorder is a neurological and developmental disorder that affects communication and behavior, and whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that approximately 1 in 36 children has been identified with autism spectrum disorder, and whereas symptoms of autism can result in significant lifelong impairment of an individual's ability to learn, develop healthy interactive behaviors, and understand verbal and nonverbal communication, and whereas applied behavior analysis has become widely accepted among healthcare professionals and used as a treatment to improve a variety of skills, and whereas all individuals with autism should be included as valuable members of our community, provided with opportunities and supports to live, learn, work, and play as independently as possible. Now therefore be resolved, the Kent School District Board of Directors proclaims April 2026 as Autism Awareness Month, and encourages all citizens to take time to learn about autism and how individuals with autism can make a difference in the community. Signed this 25th day of March.
Thank you so much, Director Cook. Our next section is we have two presentations. Our first one will be on nutritional services, and our second one on cell phones in schools, and that will be a progress update. We do have a public comment around nutritional services, but I do believe we do public comment after presentation, before board discussion. Are we doing it before the presentation? I can't. After, that's what I thought. Okay, so our first 5.01, nutrition services, and I will call upon Superintendent Bella.
Thank you, President Margell, members of the board. I'd like to invite to the podium Ms. Teresa Fields, our Nutrition Services Director, to begin our presentation. Ms. Fields.
Good evening, President Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Bella, and Ms. Curry. I'm happy to present information about nutrition services and what we do. Nutrition services' primary function is to do our part in supporting education by providing nutritious meals that meet the USDA guidelines. We serve an average of 18,000 meals daily. That includes breakfast, lunch, after-school snacks, and dinner. The Nutrition Services Program is regulated by federal and state guidelines. These guidelines dictate what we serve, watching sodium levels, calories, saturated fat, offering whole grains and more fresh fruits and vegetables. The regulations also dictate what is sold in schools during the school day. We have a budget of $16.2 million. We have 135 staff, with 48% of our budget allocated to salary and benefits. 45% of our budget is attributed to food, and 7% is in equipment, supplies, and contracts. To date, we have served over 500,000 breakfasts and 1.4 million lunches, along with after-school snacks and meals. Participation has increased in most schools, and there are some slight decreases based on enrollment changes. Currently, 46.55% of our students qualify for free and reduced meals district-wide. 74% of our revenue sources comes from federal reimbursement, 2% comes from state reimbursement, and 24% in local revenues, which includes paid meals, à la carte sales, and our catering services. We are projected to end our year with an operating surplus and add to our current fund balance. Our stakeholders are an important part of our program, serving students and their families, staff, our school board, along with government agencies in the cities of Kent and Covington. We have several internal and external controls that guide our work, which include our district policies and procedures, along with federal and state regulations, policies, and procedures. We offer programs that encourage access to meals to as many students as possible through the Community Eligibility Provision, CEP. CEP provides free meal access to all students in schools with a higher free and reduced percentage of eligible students through direct certification from the state, which includes basic food benefits, homeless and foster children. All KSD schools are operating under CEP, allowing all students to eat free meals through the 27-28 school year. The Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program provides a fresh fruit and vegetable snack to elementary school students, and it's an effective and creative way to introduce fresh produce as a healthy snack option. The focus of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program is to bring fresh produce into the schools for distribution to children. For some students, the produce they see in school might be either their first exposure to fresh fruit and vegetables and the only ones they see that day. We have offered unique fruits and vegetables like kumquats, watermelon radishes, star fruit, and tricolor beets. Teachers receive an information card with fun facts about the products the students consume. This nutritional education component is critical to the program's success. And I did bring samples of watermelon radishes for you guys to taste that the kids will be enjoying on Friday, and they're on the back table back there. Thank you. The Breakfast After the Bell program provides access to all students to eat a nutritional meal at the beginning of the school day. Whether it's a grab-and-go breakfast that the students take to the classroom or a delivery system that provides breakfast in the classroom during the first part of the school day, to a second chance breakfast geared toward secondary schools during an extended passing period. We currently have 13 elementary schools that are participating in Breakfast After the Bell. 1 high school and 1 middle school offer a second chance breakfast. We offer a summer food service program providing meals for children and teens 18 and younger. We serve over 30 meal sites, which include schools, parks, apartment buildings in the Kent and Covington communities. Nutrition Services aims to be the meal provider of choice for our students. We would like to expand our Breakfast After the Bell options at more schools to increase breakfast participation and focus on lunch participation through expanding our local procurement options, along with providing meals that are culturally responsive. For example, we have a strong Muslim community that has been advocating for halal meals. I met with some of our community members to get a better understanding of what their needs are and to help them understand what we are currently offering that meet the needs of their community. We currently offer several meals that would meet the halal requirement but are not halal certified. We discussed how other surrounding districts offer the same meals as our district. We will improve our communications with our family and have better visibility for students who prefer these meals as they come through the line. Additional options to consider are looking into vendors that offer halal certified foods that follow the child nutrition guidelines, working together with our community members to identify possible vendors. I'm checking into a vendor currently that offers halal certified foods for K-12. Keeping the budget implications in mind, there would be increased cost per serving. For example, if we were to serve a chicken nugget that is halal certified, the price per serving would be $1.10 versus what we're currently paying, which is 45 cents per serving. I want to thank One America parents and siblings who took the time to have the discussion and are looking forward to collaborating with them soon. Thank you for your time, and do you have any questions?
Questions from the board?
Are we going to have our comment?
I think we should do public comment. I believe that we do that before we do, yes,
Board
thank you.
questions, right?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you
thank
for
you.
the reminder. I appreciate that. Abdirahian? Abdi? Thank you. I apologize if I got the first name incorrect. Oh. We'll have you come right up
Right
here.
over here.
Yep, thank you.
So I'm a tall guy, I might need,
Yeah, sorry.
I might need to grab the mic. First of all, good evening to everyone and good evening to the Kent School District Board. My name is Abdi, a Muslim community leader in Kent. As we know, Kent is one of the diverse cities in the country, and many Muslim families called Kent a home. As a community leader, discussing with these families, they have expressed a concern about the lack of halal meals in the school district. So as a community leader, partnering with One America, we thought that, sharing with this concern with the Kent School District Board. A halal meal is a religious requirement. It's very important, it's a religious requirement, and anyone who practices that religion not eating that halal meal is a violation of a religion. So we really thank the board for giving us this opportunity to share with their concern, and we really request something to be done about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions from the board? I'll start with Director Williams.
Okay. I really appreciate that you answered the bulk of my questions that I sent prior to the meeting tonight. I have many answers on my paper of the many, many questions I asked. One of the things I asked about was, are there particular schools or student groups with participation where it's lower? And you mentioned in your answer that one of the high schools has gone from 3 to 2 lunch periods, resulting in an average of serving 200 less students a day. Why is that? Are we running out of food? Are they running out of time? Why are we serving 200 less students?
Going from 3 lunches to 2, the lines are longer. The kids are choosing to go off campus and not wait in the lines. So the access to provide more meals at that school is lacking.
Thank you. I have more, but I'll let everybody
Thank you.
else have a-
Director Cook?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Gregory?
I appreciate you reaching out. Community, you reached out, you've had meetings, you're now discussing kind of what is this path forward, and you're going to come back and marvelously probably tell us once you figure that out. Is there a way, for halal meals, because I know how important they are, do we provide other religious compliant foods? So like, I think of our Jewish community, are we already offering those? Or is this another area that we need to potentially investigate for future to make sure that we're being, for all community members?
Sure. So we're not technically serving other religious preferences. We do have foods, for example, that fall under kosher.
Correct.
Just as we have things that might fall under the halal umbrella, but not are halal certified.
Certified.
Yes.
Okay.
And just carry, also vegetarian, I assume, too?
Yes.
Do
And
we
vegan.
offer a vegan, vegetarian option at every lunch?
We have a vegetarian option at every lunch. Not all of them are vegan. But yes, we offer a vegetarian option every day.
And one follow-up question.
Go for it.
Can students, if they have so I'm thinking medical, right? I
Yes.
cannot have gluten, I can't have these things. They can work with nutrition services to ensure that they get a meal that's provided to them that meets those dietary requirements, correct? We can
Correct.
do that.
Correct. There's an accommodation that we make for those students that they get filled out by their doctor.
Right.
And then our dietitian works with the nurses and comes up with a meal plan for those students.
Okay.
Okay, me again? Awesome, yay, okay. I was looking at community eligibility provision, CEP, and you mentioned including TOP and iGrad, and this is just my own edification, I just don't know. Where does KVA, where does Kent Virtual Academy fall in that? How are we serving those kids?
Yes, Kent, well, I didn't mention them because usually TOP and iGrad are separate, but yes, all students, including Kent Laboratory.
I have more, but.
Oh, no, that's great. Did you have another question?
No, not yet.
Okay. I had a question. My apologies.
Bring our sticky notes.
And here we go. Can you talk about when we have the participation in the free and reduced lunches? And we saw the numbers kind of go up a little bit and come back down. I believe it's 46.22% of our district qualifies right now for free and reduced. Do you know what percentage of our district actually fills out the form?
I don't have that information for you tonight. I was trying to get it and gather it, but I can get that to you.
Okay, because it is my feeling, and I know that doesn't probably amount to anything, but that there's probably a lot more students in our district that could probably qualify.
Yes.
Okay. Could you talk about, do you mind if I ask an expansion on this one?
Yeah, okay.
Could you talk a little bit more about what do we do to try to get families to fill that out? Because we know so much more comes. We are so lucky to be able to have the program where everybody gets meals right now. But there's so much more that comes with families filling out that free and reduced paperwork and potentially getting qualified.
Sure.
What are we doing as a district to be able to encourage families to fill that out?
Well, we've communicated with families through our communications team. So one thing to keep in mind, that directly certified students don't need to fill anything out. So it's reaching out to the families that would otherwise have to qualify based on income. So just trying to do an outreach to those parents. I know some schools during family night work with parents to fill out that form so they can fill it out online. They can do a paper application, send it into our office, and we process it at that point. But I mean, we could probably do a little bit more outreach, but those are the things that we've done.
And they can fill it out anytime within the year?
Anytime during the year.
And once they fill it out, other than for the direct certification, they don't have to fill it, but the other families, they would need to renew that every year?
Every year, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for asking multiple questions about
I
that.
can't believe you.
No, thank you.
Fantastic presentation. And I'm so grateful for nutrition services. Working in schools, like, I see the dedication and love and care that goes in. This is one of the people that touches every single kid, right? They know every kid, they know about that kid. They might be the person that kid is coming to because, yeah, I really don't like watermelon, and can I please have something else? So I'm really grateful for that. I want to ask about the breakfast after the bell and the expansions of grab-and-go breakfast, and importantly, for high school students, second chance breakfast. What can we do to expand it? One high school is not enough. I want to see it at every single high school. What do you need?
So right now, the 2 secondary schools that offer a second chance breakfast are mandated through the state because they're 70% higher and free and reduced. So in order to do an outreach for the other schools, it's just approaching the school and try to get them to buy in and showing them that if there's a second chance breakfast, that kids will eat breakfast, more participation during breakfast, as the other 2 secondary schools are showing.
I know that oftentimes my students only come to school because they're going to get breakfast, and when nutrition services forgets us or doesn't, it's only happened like twice, but those kids, it's like the worst part of their day, and we always find them something to eat. Nutrition services is absolutely just, that's the first touch point. And I'm so grateful for what you guys do.
Thank you, Director Williams.
President Margell, if I may, these are great questions. I just wanted to interject that the importance of the accuracy of reporting is critical with nutrition services, as Ms. Fields understands, and that is what the state uses for allocations.
Right.
So to President Margell's point, the efforts in those areas is where we should be, but we cannot change that. We just need to be sure that we're accurate so that what we're getting is definitely what's being utilized. And so, but we continue to work at that. Just wanted to mention that.
I have no more questions.
I just have a comment. So students have participated in having their fresh foods and vegetables. And then they've come and reported on the weekend that they got these new vegetables, and they told me they were weird, but they liked them. And then they want me to get them for camp, and we're gonna learn how to cook them. And I was like, what are we gonna eat? What are you talking about? So it's introducing parents. I think it's really important, because sometimes we don't see the variety of food, or we get stuck in our, like, where I was gonna have potatoes. But there's more than potatoes, right? You can have other things. So I really love that aspect of this program, and I think we should be reaching out to our local farmers and saying, hey, we want this and that, where's your extras, and all of those things. But they are eating it, so I want to let you know that it is happening. And they want it at camp, which is weird, because normally you want hot dogs and mac and cheese, let's just be real. But we're doing gourmet meals now with new vegetables.
I will let you know that the watermelon radishes that I'm providing this evening were produced through Penny Salsa, which is local down the road.
Nice.
Comes from a local cook.
That's a
farmer.
perfect segue into my last question. I do remember in my kids, they would sometimes say a local restaurant that the food came from, or a local farm. Could you talk about that, and are those programs that we still participate in, and what that looks like?
So our produce comes from 2 local produce vendors, and they do their best to get Washington-grown fruits and vegetables when they can. And sometimes we have to go as far as California to get things because of season and all that. So, but we do our best to do Washington-grown. We, in our summer program this year, we had a farmer's market at one of the parks where we featured Carpenito Brothers produce, and kids loved it. They planted a carrot and tried different fruits and vegetables. So just trying to incorporate as much as Kent local as we can.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If I may, just very quickly, I wanted to thank Ms. Fields for the presentation. I also wanted to invite our board to, again, I know Vice President Gregory joined me last year in visiting our nutrition services team, among other departments, but I wanted just to say thank you for the partnership and the collaboration with our families. But if you want to see staff that are dedicated and really believe in making sure that food comes out of our district, and they take it to heart, and I invite you to visit. So we look forward to that, and thank you, Ms. Fields.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'd like to invite the board this summer. We also have planned to visit the summer release of food. So I think that would be great to be able to see that in action too. Thank you, Ms. Fields. Our next presentation, 5.02, cell phones in schools. And again, I call upon Superintendent Vela.
Thank you, President Markell. As just for some history, I wanted to share, because I know, I'm not sure if Director Williams was at the last couple sessions that we had on cell phones, but we've had several work sessions, and I wanted to invite Mr. Jim Scheel, our Executive Director of School Leadership Success, to begin our presentation this evening, because what you're going to hear today is where we've been, and then where we're going in terms of cell phone policy that the board will be entertaining down the line. So I wanted just to bring him up and thank them as they introduce the rest of the team for this evening. Mr. Scheel.
Thank you. Pause for just one moment. Could we, we're getting a lot of backfeed here on everything's echoing up here for us. Could we turn down the volume of our mics just a little bit? Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No, that's okay. All right. Good evening, President Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Vela, Ms. Curry. It's actually not just me. My colleague, Doris Johnson, and I are excited to have put together this opportunity for you today to revisit some of the work that we've done in cell phones in schools. I'm going to cover just a little bit of the background. So you'll recall that last year in November, the previous school year, November 2024, we did a work session with the board where we had ourselves as well as I think all of our high school principals, several of our middle school principals, teachers, and I think a couple of students sort of talking about the issues and the struggles that we all deal with this new technology that not only distracts kids, but distracts us as we're sitting and doing things and trying to ignore the vibrations and the notifications that we get all day long. In August of the last school year, OSPI came out with some recommendations that schools and school districts consider policies to limit the use of cell phones during the instructional day. We obviously had already been doing that across the system. I mean, I've been my 11 years as a middle school principal, we had policies around cell phone uses in school. So it's not new to us, but I think what is new is the sort of public, there's a lot of conversation in the media, among parents, on television, right, around the impact of cell phone use on students. And so I think it's just brought a new level of attention to the work. And so we're excited to have our team come and talk. I'd like to introduce the rest of the team. And that would be obviously my colleague, Doris Johnson, who's going to give you a little policy update. And then joining us up here as well, we have two of our fabulous secondary principals, Erica Hansen from Cedar Heights. Come on up. Erica Hansen from Cedar Heights and Krista Ernst from Kent Ridge High School. And I will turn it over to Ms. Johnson to give you a review of where our policies currently stand.
And Deb Willisey will also be joining us with some data around our panorama survey. Okay, so for the middle schools, so each middle school has a clearly defined cell phone policy that outline when phones can be used and when they cannot be used. And then they also have how staff should respond when expectations are not met. So the difference that you'll find at the middle schools is that sometimes some schools say they can use it during passing time or lunchtime, but what is common is that during class time and instructional time, the cell phones are put away, turned off or silent. In the high school, what's unique about the high schools is that all four comprehensive have the same cell phone policy. And any of the information you would like is on our district website, and it's very thorough. Each school has their policy there. So students, again, at the high schools are not allowed to use cell phones during instructional time. And this also includes when in the hallways, passing time. So it's limited during passing time and lunch. And the goal is to reinforce a consistent expectation that instructional time is paramount, and that is what we're here for. And I'm going to pass it to Deb.
Hello, good evening. I just want to talk a little bit about the data collection that we're currently doing. Just to give everyone a reminder, we piloted Panorama Education student cell survey last year with all of our secondary schools and 3 of our elementary schools. This year, we added the remaining elementary schools, and we also added questions about cell phone impact, and that was for the secondary schools only. The cell phone impact questions, there were 6 questions that evaluate the impact of cell phone policies, and 4 of the questions assess the favorability, and 2 of the two free response questions allow students the opportunity to submit a typed response, and those are in bold. In the fall of 2025, which was our fall survey, we had 9,904 respondents for the cell phone policy impact results. And the results of the 4 multiple choice questions show how favorable students responded. So favorability is the measure of how positively students perceive, for example, their sense of belonging. And in terms of the cell phones, favorability is the student confidence in the impact of the changes. So as you can see, we are in the 80th percentile in terms of national results, and 36% of our students find it favorable. The two free response questions, we have a variance of what students submit, because obviously they get to type their response. And so students have said things from, honestly, I can just pay more attention. Some students feel like we should take the cell phone boxes out and just have trust. But the spring 2026 survey, the window opened on Monday. It's currently underway. It is a 2-week window that ends on April 3rd, and then we will have another data point released on April 10th, and that'll provide schools with further data. The appendix in your files, that gives more detailed data from the fall 2025 survey, and it's separated by question. As you can see in the appendix, each question shows more favorability than not. And so now I invite Principal Hansen from Cedar Heights and Principal Ernst from Kentridge to share about the implementation in their schools.
Oh, my slides first. Notable impact, let me just read that to you. Thank you for having us here tonight to really talk about how we're giving our education back to our students. As you know, as we sit here with our watches and everything else and we're feeling that ding, 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 our kids are feeling the same thing, but they don't have the capacity to be able to put it away. And so we started this process way back before COVID. And then when we came back from COVID at Cedar Heights, we gave it back to them because they were sitting in sit spots. And they couldn't talk to each other. They had masks on. We had those pieces, and we wanted them to be able to be social. Very quickly, we determined, oh no, that's not happening anymore. So we took that back. I represent all of the middle schools. We do all have our own cell phone policies. We have aligned quite a few things, including their impact in the classroom, and no one allows them in the classroom, even for the use of Kahoot or those other processes. They use their one-to-one laptops for that. However, at Cedar Heights, we are 100% cell phone free throughout the day. What we have said to the kids, as you can see up on the image, is that please turn off your phone, learning is happening. And that is our focus, is that we're trying to positively frame it, not from take your cell phones away, but we want to give you back this opportunity to learn. So our staff feedback is awesome because they know that they are working an uphill battle for a number of things in our district and in our building. But one thing that we can control is the clear, concise expectations that cell phones are not going to be approved within our classrooms and within our hallways. So our staff feedback is around fewer distractions, more time to learn through that process. The consistency matters, and our staff and our students, and that's Jim's favorite story ever to tell, will go ahead. What's that? I will take your story. I'm going to take Jim's story. It was my kid, and I'm proud. So we are in the hallway, and Jim's standing out in the hallway, coming and doing his big boss man things, and he's on his phone, checking his phone, because he's got lots of important things on there, and a student comes up and says, "Excuse me, we don't allow cell phones in our building."
Nice.
Like, bam, thank you. But
And I put it away.
and he did.
Put it away.
Thank you for following reasonable requests from a child. But the consistency really does matter, and making sure that we have clear and concise expectations, which is true in all of our buildings with the expectations for students. We are role models as adults, so as adults, we also put our phones away throughout the day. Obviously, during their planned period, whatever, it's their time, but we do model that for our kids as well. We're teaching that digital responsibility, the why. Why do we want to take those cell phones away? It's to be able to give you your education. Calmer campus, drama it's middle school. We have a lot of drama. But those cell phones and putting them away have really cut back on that piece. There's no more texting to meet in the bathrooms. There's not those pieces that are running rampant throughout the day. It gives the opportunity for our kids to actually have face-to-face conversations with each other. We have seen more eye contact between kids and between adults and children since we took away the cell phones. And then we can monitor that impact. We're gathering student and staff feedback all the time through our What's Up Wednesday, Panorama survey, and those pieces to see what's going well and what do we need to support at all levels. Do we need a little reminder to all of us that we need another little check-in on the cell phone policy so that students aren't sneaking that away and we can support our staff members and our students at the same time? The kids, while many will say, I need my cell phone, they don't need their cell phone. And there's a lot that are actually feeding back to us that they do appreciate the fact that they don't have to focus on that all day. We do have the occasional, but I need to talk to my mom, and we introduce them to that corded thing in the main office and let them know that they can go talk to their mom there, because we don't want to take it away from them. We know that that impact of having that cell phone is it is immediate, and we generally can speak to our parents immediately, right? Well, then they can come down to the office when it's appropriate, with an appropriate pass, and contact their parents. They do think that it is clear and fair. Everybody has the same expectations. And that is one thing that we've really worked on with our team is like everyone needs to have the same expectations. We have taken into account, and I think that was a question that was going to come about later, is the medical piece of things and how those students that do monitor their blood sugar or whatever with their phones do have expectations surrounding that as well, that they can't just have it out at all times because, come on, we know you're not monitoring your blood sugar at that point. It really has brought forth a calmer campus, according to our children, that they're excited not to have to see those pieces go throughout. And they, at the end of the day, through a lot of work from our amazing staff members that tell them the why. We're building your responsibility, we're giving you your education back, and we're giving you an opportunity to actually engage in social emotional learning at the same time because we're talking to each other. So, thank you for your support of it. We know it's a state law, but know that our team and our kids are all about it, except for a couple, and they'll get there, maybe, by high school. We'll see. And Kent Ridge High School.
So I'll keep mine, so again, Krista Ernst, principal at Kent Ridge High School. I'll keep my presentation shorter because a lot of what Principal Hansen talked about is true of the high schools also. So all 4 of the comprehensive high schools have the same policy. If you are in any of our high schools, there are posters around that talk about the policy, and it has all of our logos along the top. It is something that we are all consistently rolling out. And last year, Kent Ridge High School wanted to work through what's a more systematic way to handle cell phones. Because we had, again, as everybody else has said, cell phone policies have been in schools for a long time. What we found, though, was that there was inconsistencies in how they were being implemented in classrooms, which was causing some frustration for students, right? Unnecessary frustrations. And so we started a pilot second quarter of last year, and each quarter we added some more teachers. We communicated out to families. We had a system for retrieving phones if students were not following the policy. And through that work, feedback that we got from our teachers and our students, I shared that with the other high school principals. And we worked through the spring to come up with a policy that we all felt we could consistently have in common and implement. And then we spent, there were probably, I think, 4 or 5 communications over the summer to families in all of our buildings to let them know, hey, this is what's happening. Each week was a little bit more information, and then we had all of the information that we were sharing with families available on all of our websites. And I will say, over the course of the summer, I probably had maybe 5 parents who emailed saying that they did not like the policy. For the most part, families have been really supportive. And actually, as the school year started, I got several communications from family members saying that they appreciated having a very clear policy and that they felt that this was benefiting their students. And what I thought was interesting in the last year when we did our survey is students disliked the policy in our survey, but admitted that it helped them focus more. So while when we were first rolling this out, kids were able to say, I don't like not having my phone, and they expressed a lot of anxiety around not having their phone, which led us to think through what are ways that we can help students deal with the anxiety of not having their phones. And so we were able to put in some of those teaching strategies for students, but they all recognized that the phones helped them be focused in class. And the same thing happened with teachers. What was an unexpected side effect that we are happy about is the drama impact has reduced. And what we would find with the high school students is something would happen during passing time or at lunch. They would get agitated, and then they would go to class, and they'd get on their phone. And they would text. They would post. And then somebody would read, and they'd respond back. And all during class, instead of paying attention, they're now getting themselves escalated over this problem. And then the next time there was a passing period, the opportunity to act on those impulses was present. What we've seen, though, now is because students are putting their phones away, they don't have them with them. Conflicts that happen, interactions that are negative that happen at lunch or passing time tend to fizzle because students then go to class, they sit, they're focused, they're distracted, and then by the time they're out in the hall again, most of them have been like, all right, whatever, that's fine, right? They've had that time to really simmer, to let their emotions settle, and that has been really positive for students and for teachers. Overall, teachers also feel that they've had fewer negative interactions with students. People, if you think about this, probably applies to adults, but students feel their phone is an extension of their person, right? It is a part of them. And when you're telling a kid, give me your phone, right? That's like you're saying, give me your arm, right? Give me your backpack, give me your shoes. But when we're like, hey, here's a place to safely store your phone, you put it in there, you can see it, you get it out when you're done, you don't have to have that tug of war with students. And it's an expectation. It's not like, oh, I didn't know. Everybody knows. And so we're seeing a lot of benefits to the consistency of having everybody at the high schools doing the same thing. And it's not like they're doing this at Kent Ridge, but what about Kentwood? We are all doing the same thing. And we have found a lot of power in that consistency. And I think every one of the high school principals would probably say that they have seen more positives than they have negatives.
And I think that was it. We're happy to answer any questions you have for anyone on the team.
Great. I will start with Director Cook this time. Any questions? I'll move to Director Gregory.
So I want to know, how can parents get a medical exception? I am a diabetic. I have to have a phone. We're all cyborgs now. I just feel like that's how you have to do it. When I was younger, I used to have to go to the office, right, and get stabbed 4 or 5 times a day. I'm old, and you had to go to the nurse, and you were like chastised because they're like, "What are you doing?" So how are we? What's the process? If parents are concerned about that, what is the process for them to get an exception around a medical?
Yeah, so we actually have a few type 1 diabetic students who test their blood sugar with their phone. And they all have a health plan with the nurse. And essentially what we do is we talk to the teachers and we say that the student is going to keep their phone, and then the students are told that if they need to step out to check their blood sugar, just to let the teacher know, just to give them some sort of indication, like, hey, I need to pop out. Right. We haven't had any issues with that.
No issues.
Yeah,
And
no issues.
they can go through, they talk to the nurse, they get the exception, they fill it out, and then and then everybody's notified. So-
Yeah, because it's in their health plan, we just communicate out with their health, that they're checking their blood sugar with their phone, therefore they have access to the phone. We just, as administrators, make sure that they understand that they can only use their phone to check their monitor, and that they need to make sure that they're communicating with their teacher so that the teacher knows what they're doing and not that they're trying to sneak a look at their phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. Williams.
My question is for Principal Hansen. I'm wondering, because you said something that I thought was really interesting, and I was wondering if you could repeat it, about staff being representatives and keeping their phones put away, and how I was wondering, how that works during staff meetings and how the students feel about staff putting their phones away. I didn't know if that was a discussion that had been had but I'd really like to hear more about that, please.
So we, as a team, every year when we come back in August, we go through what our community commitments are as a team. And when we committed back to taking the cell phones from the time the students walk in the door until the time that they walk back out, our staff are the ones that said, we are the ones that are going to lead this by also basically leading by example. So if we look at what we do in our everyday life, our reasonable requests, our PAC commitments to one another, our staff acknowledge and have taken ownership over the fact that they are going to lead by example. If we are asking students to do it, they also want to be a part of that solution with them.
So what I'm hearing you say is that leaders of the schools are following the same expectations of students. Huh. That is a great concept. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Question, I did have a question between the two, yes, sorry, Principal Hanson. Between the middle schools having the bell-to-bell and compared to having it out, or where you would put in a box during a class period. And as a parent, I've experienced the bell-to-bell and have seen how great it is and really appreciated that. What I'm wondering, though, is because they're not putting it in a box, does it increase the number of bathroom breaks that people suddenly have to go to?
It is amazing the number of times children have to go to the restroom
It
throughout
is
the day.
amazing. And so,
Sure
but, and I'm trying to look at it, while not wanting to take away what fits for a school, I get that. I also see and have heard tonight Principal Ernst talking about the power of having all of the schools having a similar policy. And at our middle school level, is it conceivable that since they keep it in their pockets, because they don't have to put in a box for each class, that they're leaving during class time and have their cell phone? I mean, is it possible that maybe one student might do that?
150%. It's
Okay.
possible for more than one, I'm sure, unless I see it and then it's game on.
Yeah.
But our expectation is as they come into the building that they are putting their phones in their backpacks. So their phones are to be stored in their backpacks all day long. And our staff has this same exact thing. We have the third point document that shares what the expectations are. We have another third point document that talks about reasonable requests. And so if students have them outside of their backpack, then the teacher asks a reasonable request for them to either put that away, or if it is a repeated request, then they are going to be giving their cell phone to the teacher, who then calls the office and we come pick it up and the student can pick that up at the end of the day. That is in our building. And it has worked for a good 95%, just like every place. 5%
Sure.
is the opportunity for growth every day that we have. And ultimately, it works for us. In other buildings, they have similar expectations where they're doing those pieces. There are some administrators in other buildings that don't want to deal with it needs to be go away all day long. They're okay with it being out in the mornings, in the afternoons, at lunches, and during passing time. And my staff as a whole said our kids lack the maturity to be able to distinguish between passing period, during the class period, and at lunchtime. And so we as a team decided that what was best for our students was it be gone for the entire day in their backpack, which makes it really easy too when you see that coming out of their pocket or their sweatshirt or whatever it happens to be, to remind them of the expectation that, again, similar to the high schools, is all over the building, that your phone should be in your backpack at all times.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because, I mean, I know we have amazing teachers that their job is to teach and not to be cell phone police.
Absolutely.
And that's not fun. As a parent of a recent middle schooler, I appreciated seeing, and you specifically called this out, the social emotional. In the business community, the ability for people to have small talk, to be able to have conversations, it seems like a skill that's harder and harder and one that we need to hire for. And I love that, I mean, that happens during passing periods, that happens during lunch. And I appreciate that there's a focus on that because it is real important learning. So thank you.
Thank you.
President Margell, can I just add to that?
Oh, absolutely.
So at the high school, at each of our high schools, we have at least 2 different options for phones. I think everybody has the phone box, and then there's a secondary option that varies by school. And we don't ask teachers to stand and demand that students put their phones in the box. So it's a very similar process that we are trusting that students are putting their phones in the box. There's the expectation that their phones are in the box. And then, because, one, I left my phone at home when I went to the grocery store the other day. A kid may not have a phone at all. Kid's phone might be broken, right? And so we didn't want to add to a power struggle. So the expectation is the phone is in the box. If they don't put one in the box, and these different teachers have different ways of determining, of like, hey, I know you have a phone, like hold up your paper that you put it in the box, all of those different ways. If teachers see a kid walking down the hallway with their phone and it doesn't go in the box, then yes, they'll say, I saw your phone in the hallway, make sure it gets in the box. So I think regardless of what the system is, there's gonna be the small percentage of students who are going to say, oh, I didn't bring my phone today. We also have a couple of 2-phoners where they'll put, they've got a dummy phone that they put in, right? But it is one less thing that teachers have to worry about. It's one less power struggle when kids are coming in the door. And at the high school level, we've also thought really hard about those skills that we want students to learn, right? And being able to be responsible with your phone at certain times is important. And I think I don't think it would be reasonable for us to say that we could get all of our high schoolers to put their phones away the entire day, right? So I think their differences, I think, are developmental, but we aim really to have less conflict.
No, I appreciate that, and that the focus is on the learning and not on the conflict. And I love that hopefully our generation that we're moving into adulthood will also have the ability to know when and where cell phone use is appropriate and not, and be better than maybe current generations can sometimes be.
So I have a future question. What are we doing for the elementary schools? Because, the 4th and 5th graders now have phones.
So from what we know, all of our elementary schools expect phones to be put away all day long. And so that's something we share with our middle schools too, is that, hey, our 6th graders coming into us are not used to having their phones out. And as we were working with high schools, saying, hey, our middle schools are not letting kids be on their phones. So yeah, elementaries are all the same and have been for like any sort of electronic device.
I just see that we're getting, it's parents' choice, but they're younger and younger. It used to be 6th grade, right? It was kind of that,
right.
At 6th grade, you were going to start to see phones. And now I'm seeing it in the 4th graders. And I'm like, what are you doing on that phone? Like, what? Oh, I'm so busy. With what? You're in the 4th grade. But they have that reliance on it. And we see it a lot when I've gone to camp and you got to put the phone away all weekend, and then they're like, it's like they've lost their arm, as you were saying. They've lost their ability to function. So I just wanted to know, what's the policy at elementary school?
I think the other thing that's important about just community support is our office gets the opportunity to chat with parents if they're not happy with the solution they've gotten at their school. And I think we have had zero, I'm probably going to jinx it now and get 30 tomorrow, but we have had 0 phone calls to our office around parents being upset that their child couldn't use their cell phone in school or anything like that. We've had some in the past, but I think it's enough in the media and in the zeitgeist now that people are just sort of expecting that that's what schools should do. So that's just another metric we were looking at, is neither one of us have gotten any calls about cell phones in schools, parents being upset about it.
I got one more.
Can I, Director Cook?
Yeah.
Director Cook, I'll give you another opportunity if you want to add any questions.
Yeah, if I could. I did think of one. This is the first year that we've included the cell phone policy impact questions in the panorama survey. Do we have a plan for tracking this like longitudinally, I guess, so that we can see what the change in the sentiment is from the students and the staff at different points, so like at the end of the year or at the beginning of next year? Well, probably not the very end or very beginning, but something along those lines.
So we have two data points every year for the Panorama survey. And so, like I said, this is the first year that we've included the cell phone impact questions. And the spring survey window is open right now. So that will give us another data point, and we will continue into next year. So when schools log into the platform, they see the trajectory and the change in their data in terms of each question for the cell phone impact questions, as well as all the other questions, as well as overall for the impacts of the cell phone policy.
Will we be getting like another presentation of this sort on it at that point then, I assume?
I can go ahead and take that. I wanted just to remind the board, because we haven't talked about it, OSPI want us to have this in process to start of this school year with full implementation in 2030. The only school district that has a policy in place right now is Ferndale School District, which actually presented at our last WASDA session in November. And so wanted to give you that timeline. You can see and hear we're well ahead of that with continued data points, with continued PLCs between our teachers, administrators, and staff, and including our students. So we're well ahead of that. So I believe that the board would want some more information on how things are going as you begin to look at policy. Certainly look at our team here on advising on policy. So yes and yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to be really selfish because as an educator, I'm always trying to get better. And one of the problems that I'm having in my classroom is headphones. And I'm wondering how you guys are handling headphones and if I can steal your ideas.
Mine are noise canceling.
So we haven't officially included headphones in that they have to be in the box. We'd need a bigger box. But the expectation is that the earbuds are put away. We have some teachers who request that, they can see their students' ears, so if they've got a hoodie on, they just want to make sure that there's no earbuds there. The other piece that is becoming a little more prevalent are also the smart watches. And I would say our school is already pretty good at test security. And so when there's tests going on, teachers are very previous to this policy. Students had to put all their electronic devices in their backpack. The backpacks went up to the front of the room. So there was no worry that when a kid got finished that they would get antsy and want to pull their earbuds out or their phone out. And so since we have this policy, the same expectation around their earbuds and their watches are put away during tests. But yeah, we've had it a little bit more individual basis, but a lot of it is just really the teachers making it clear that those are also part of their technology and that they need to be put away. We don't have a systemized way to deal with that yet, but we have had a lot of success with just having sort of that individual conversation with students. And I would say students who have that we have had that conversation with are ones who have forgotten to put their phones in the box a few times and may have already had a couple of conversations, so it becomes pretty clear to them that those are an extension of their electronic devices.
For the board, I wanted to make just a real quick correction. Ferndale was the only one that presented. There may be a few other districts that have them in place, but not a lot from what I know. I know a lot of them have done what we're doing, but we'll get you that exact number.
Just for us to think about is when we write policy, when we start thinking about headphones, we need to think about how we're going to handle it for kids who use headphones for IEP purposes. That's sometimes not always written into their IEP to help block out that external stuff. So we might want to make sure that we're figuring out how to craft that.
And I echo that. I know for my kids who had IEPs, they asked, do they need headphones? And we wrote it in. Like my counselor was like, oh, we're going through the list. Okay, blah, blah. And headphones? And I was like, oh, yes, headphones. Because I would have, it's so natural that it's like they have them all the time. So for me, it was like, Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, we should write that in. So I think our counseling staff and the team that works with that, I think they're amazing to be like, they're going through that list. I don't know if it's in the procedures or whatever, but I agree. We got to think about the extensions of those.
Yeah, and I can say the teams do that with accommodations beginning, but I'll let one of our principals talk about that.
So for ours, it's all wrapped into the same thing. Our headphones also need to go in our backpacks before we enter the building in the morning, and that includes our wireless as well as our wired, as well as Bluetooth. Everything needs to go in the backpack. When it comes to listening to and for the IEP accommodations, they use their headphones that are plugged into their one-on-one laptops. So we have those available in each of our classrooms, both those that are available with just the headphones themselves and those that have the ability to talk so that they can use their text-to-speech and speech-to-text and those pieces as well. We have 2 students right now that have accommodations also for their noise-canceling headphones, and those are within their IEP as well. So those pieces, obviously, we make some considerations during that time, but it is 100% documented within their IEP why to support their IEP needs that they are able to use those. So it's not just my kid studies better with their headphones in, because every child in our building, all 900 of them, would study better with their headphones in.
they would.
So,
Obviously.
And from my experience, the students get that.
they absolutely get it. We don't feel a lot of pushback from the students on this. Our staff is really consistent with it, and so the students don't really push back. I stand at the front door, saying, oh, let's remember to put our cell phones away. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. They're already stopped. They're already putting it in. Because our goal is that once the kids get to classes, the teachers get to teach, and they don't have to deal with that. That the kids already just know that the overall expectation is that these are gone.
And that kind of goes into it seems like some of this is an adult problem and not as much a kid problem. Could you talk a little bit about the concern that parents say, if a major emergency happens, I'm not going to be able to have my kid text? We've had this impassioned, Principal Maurer has talked about it in the past. Could you reiterate that point of why this is a consideration, and especially during emergencies?
So during emergency drills, and we just had one this last week, that was a quick one and done. However, what we decided afterwards when we met with the team is that we will send out communication that says we are either in a drill or we are in a lockdown, and we will be the ones that send that out. As we know, and we've put it in our monthly newsletters and those pieces, that if you are in a situation where it's a true active shooter in those pieces, you do not want that many people to have their cell phones on them and available to them, as that can bring attention to our classrooms rather than stay away. So we're trying to educate our parents as well, and also tell our kids that your parents cannot get to you. I am going to take care of that. I'm going to let them know that you are okay and you are in your classrooms, and then I will let them know when it has lifted so that you can then come back. And I know that you guys have engaged with that as well, and so the high schools have had a little more experience than we have.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add the piece for the IEP or even a 504 with headphones. And so what we have asked our IEP teams to do is when they want to use a cell phone as an accommodation, we ask everybody to stop and think, is there another electronic device that is allowed at school that can serve the same purpose? Oftentimes with our one-to-one laptops, the things that people want to do on their phones can also be done on their laptops. Right, the one that we found that there's not really an exception for is the glucose monitoring. And then for students who need headphones for a variety of reasons, we've made very specific language around like headphones that cannot connect to or are not connected to a Bluetooth device, so that those accommodations are still available, but we're still falling within the parameters around not having the access to those distractions. So we really just try to be mindful of what's the purpose of the accommodation, can something else work, and then be very clear around how those devices should be or should not be connected to Bluetooth.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Great. Seeing no further questions, thank you very much for your presentation tonight and continuing this discussion as we find out more information. I'd just like to remind the board that this is from your requests of the topics that we wanted to discuss. And so that was both of our presentations tonight. So thank you very much for the preparation and supporting our kids in the way that you are doing. Sometimes it's not what they love, but they also know it works. So thank you.
And thank you to our team. Please extend our thanks from our board and our superintendent, the great work that you're doing. Thank you.
It is 8:16. We're going to go ahead and take a break until, let's go ahead and make it till 8:25.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I am finishing my sample from our nutrition services of watermelon radishes. Just to tell everybody, they're fantastic. And they have a slight, like almost a tang to them, they're a little hot.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the lemon keeps it.
They're wonderful. Yes.
The lemon keep.
So thank you again to our presentations by Nutrition Services and from administration for our cell phones in schools presentation. We now move to our superintendent report, section 6.0. Superintendent Vela, could you?
Thank you, President Margell. Tonight, I want to begin my report by honoring, you may have heard this in the news, honoring Captain Ariana Savino, who tragically lost her life during the refueling mission in western Iraq while supporting her fellow airmen. Captain Savino was a proud Kentwood High School graduate class of 2013 and a distinguished alumna of our JROTC program. We are forever grateful for Captain Savino's service, her sacrifice, and the example she set. Our sincere condolences to her family and all who knew her. May we honor her memory by striving to lead with the same courage, compassion, and commitment she showed every day. This past week, as I had been mentioning in my reports and on our website, we were honored to have hosted the League of Convening here in the Kent School District last week, co-hosted with Issaquah School District. We welcomed approximately 150 visitors from across the nation who toured our schools and observed classrooms and participated in breakout sessions. 4 of those key areas were highlighted, and I'd like to take just a few minutes to read some of the reflections and quotes from the visitors that we've been gathering. I myself was on track 1, which was our dual language track, and I want to just take an opportunity to first thank Principal Fitney, who's here tonight, and I know part of his staff was here, and I want to please extend my thanks to them. Just fantastic opportunity, because one of those pathways was a multilingual education pathway, which we started at Mill Creek and moved towards Scenic Hill to showcase some of the great things we were doing around that, and then also over to Panther Lake and KLA as well. So thank you for that. Some of the things that we were able to see were teachers that were engaging our students in very thoughtful and integrated learning, and how they were involving parents in multilingual programs was also a highlight at Scenic Hill and a student panel at Mill Creek. A second one was our inclusive technology partnerships. Visitors noted how visibly accessible communication is embedded in classrooms across our schools, including our playgrounds. Our third one was our career-connected pathways, and one visitor commented, quote, "Kent School District has created more than just access to an entry-level job. They have designed entire pathways." Aerospace and industry partnerships. Kent has done a fantastic job connecting industry and local government in an authentic partnership focused on learning and growth together. This week affirmed the strength, innovation, and heart of the Kent School District, where diversity is our strength. Thank you to our planning team, our teachers, students, principals, staff, families, board members, and community members for making last week's site visit such a positive showcase of the remarkable work happening all across the Kent School District. It was truly an honor to share that work with visitors from our region and from across the nation. Thank you also to Horizon Elementary for inviting me to read to one of their kindergarten classrooms earlier this month. I was privileged to read to a group of kindergartners, as I mentioned, and what I was impressed with is the reflective questions of the picture book that I read. Wanting to know more about the illustrations, wanting to know about certain parts of the book, which is fantastic to hear. Great job, Horizon Elementary. I also had the opportunity this week on Monday to visit Kent Meridian High School, where Representative Adam Smith from Congress took part in an open forum with students. A special thank you to Nick Pizzolatto, who is a KM Social Studies teacher, and Eric Anderson, a KM English teacher, for hosting and the coordination of the congressman's visit. I learned by listening that prior to this visit, that the students in these classrooms wrote letters right around January, and then in February, one of our teachers actually visited Congress and was there simply to take a picture. And Representative Smith's team decided that during that visit that he wanted to not just respond to those letters to students, but he wanted to meet with them in person when he returned to Washington State. And he held true to that, and that was just a wonderful, wonderful time to observe. What impressed me the most, besides our teachers who planned and coordinated this, was really the thoughtful questions that each one of the students had during the time I was there. Mind you, not all letters were read. They selected different questions. But those thoughtful questions were really relevant to the current and future world that the students are living in, will be living in, and it was just fantastic. And as always, Representative Smith did a great job. I had to leave prior to the end, and what I probably can guess is that he wants to probably have a few students visit him the next time. I myself have had a chance to be at a roundtable with him, and he certainly listens to us, and he wants to do it in person, so I'm not surprised. I also want to thank Dr. Behringer for attending last week's Puget Sound Educational Service District's Regional Superintendent's meeting on my behalf. The Washington Association of School Administrators Legislative Representative, Marissa Rathbone, shared that there will be a K-12 education reduction to the state of $94.3 million this biennium. Not good news for education. It was also shared at that same session that they're also already anticipating a $2 billion shortfall for the following biennium. As a board and superintendent governance team, I'm asking that and sharing that we must continue to voice our lack of funding concerns for students and demand that our legislature comply with its constitutional obligation to apply to amply fund special education, among other programs, as required by the Washington State Constitution. Last night, KSD hosted the City of Kent officials, staff, and city council members in a joint meeting to discuss current topics and to focus on KSD's workforce development partnerships right here in this boardroom. I'd like to give a shout out to Carol Cleveland, our Executive Director of Partnerships, for her continued focus on strengthening our relationships with the community that we serve, particularly local government and businesses. And thank you also to our board and our council who were here with the great questions that you had. We are truly leading the region in this kind of work, and we continue to get better at getting better and offering options and opportunities to our students. I would also like to thank Mayor Dana Ralph and her team for continued partnership and collaboration over the years, specifically around that program collaboration. Recently, I was privileged to attend the Student Teacher Night held right here in this boardroom as well. Student teachers attended from a variety of programs, including those currently participating in the district's Grow Your Own. And specifically, I want to do a shout out to former Director Clark, who was a true champion for this program, if you might recall. So I wanted just to share that. I was able to see and hear the great guidance that our HR team was giving all of our student teachers during that time, and it was fantastic in preparing those participants. And there were other district administrators that also supported in mock interviews that were designed to help them prepare for future employment opportunities. As always, some important dates. April 1st at 5 p.m., which will begin with an updated budget presentation and continued facilitation of Sandy Hayes from WASDA, who will continue our work from our previous retreat. And just a reminder that I know we have a couple parents that will be particularly interested in this countdown. There are approximately 78 calendar days until the top graduation on June 11th, 79 days until June 12th for iGrad and Kent Lab Academy, and 80 days until the June 13th celebration at Accesso Showwear Center. We are looking forward to celebrating these graduations with our seniors, along with their families and friends. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Superintendent Vella. We are now going to be moving into our legislative report. As we do, this is our last call for any public comments to be added into the blue box that's being looked at in the back. Seeing nobody running over to do that, we will move on to 7.0, our legislative update, which Director Williams has graciously taken on this week as Director Song is absent.
It's big shoes to fill, so I'll do my best. Okay, we just finished up a 60-day session. This is a short session in Washington State, and so we've got a couple wins to celebrate. The sales tax exemption for K through 12, it was upheld. We get to continue to be exempt from sales tax. That's very helpful considering our current budget. We also were able to have many bills stopped or changed. Okay, here we go. In regards to budget, the state is facing a $4.3 billion shortfall. The governor is proposing cuts only, that there will be no new revenue. That means when we talk about education, TK is going to be reduced by 25% down. That means there's going to be about 2,000 spots statewide, and that's not a lot. There will be no new basic ed funding, and the LEA commitment will also be reduced. So in 2026, it's $2,221.78 per student. In 27, it'll be $2,431.77 per student. I'm breezing through my notes here. Buses and transportation is going to face a $21.1 million cut. There is $0 for MSOC, SPED, or transportation. However, the millionaire's tax that did pass through is expected to provide some financial stability for the state. So, yay. In regards to policy, a few different policies came through. The school interference intimidation policy, this expands school-related crimes. Basically, it's more information and more protections. The evidence-based K through 4 literacy requirement. What that means is we're looking at a 2027 update or adoption of a literacy curricula that meets the particular requirements outlined in this bill. Military family enrollment records changes the requirement for enrolling children of military families, basically making it more accessible for those families as they often are moving around. McKinney-Vento alignment into state law. McKinney-Vento is for our homeless youth, able to go to their home school even if they don't necessarily live in that area. McKinney-Vento gets them transportation. That is a federal homeless assistance program. This has now been codified into state law. So if that federal program is attacked, we now have it in the state law. Student restraint and isolation limits. This one I thought was really interesting. There is no mechanical or chemical restraints allowed, no life-threatening restraints allowed. It bars isolation as a planned intervention for our IEP kids, or any kids. There are no new isolation rooms allowed to be built. So as we are looking at readapting our, refurbishing our schools or building new schools, there should be no more isolation rooms. Having worked in a school where there was an isolation room, I always found them really creepy, so I'm excited for that. A few failed policies. MSOC, Transportation Safety Net, Levy Equalization, that was a big one. SEB for part-time workers, District Financial Solvency, Tort Reform, a full cell phone ban, considering we just heard about cell phones, and the apportionment shift. Again, a big one. There was acknowledgement by several legislators that there is a lot more work to be done in education funding. And it sounds like they're very open to hearing from families, from parents, from students, from educators, from school boards about what it is schools need. At the end of the day, in reading through all of the information, we are not going to be saved. We are going to have to save ourselves. So we are not going to be the princess in the tower that someone comes to rescue us. We have to be the knight on the horse that fights off the dragon. And that's my report.
Well, I'm glad we get to keep the exemption of not paying back the state taxes on the money that they give us to run our district.
Yeah, that's nice.
Thank you for that.
I do have a question. You may not have the answer.
I'll do my best.
The sales tax, the law that was written last year, where we have to pay tax on services, have we been exempt in that one, or they did not discuss it? Because there was a debate on whether they were going to get through it.
I'm looking.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
So for those of you to clarify, last year it was passed that if you have professional services provided to you, you have to now pay tax on those. The intention of the legislation was that they thought they had communicated to schools that you're going to be exempt from that. They exempted healthcare, but they did not exempt schools. So revenue is saying you have to pay the tax on these professional services, which cost the district, I think it was over $1 million.
10%.
It was 10%. It was like over $1 million in things that we didn't think we were going to have to pay for. And so Raul can probably tell me the exact number. But we ended up paying tax on this session. They were going to talk about going back and clarifying with revenue that it's zero, but I don't know if that got passed yet.
One of the things that we can do is, at our retreat, we do have an update.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yep, we can do that.
He actually
That's
has
fine.
slated the state updates, and as you know, things are still
In flux,
in
yep.
flux, so.
Okay, we will make sure to get that included into the presentation on the 1st.
I'm not seeing it in the information I was
Well,
given.
let's make sure that we have a full answer for it, because I think it's an important piece. 10% is a lot.
It's a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping in and helping out with that report. I appreciate it greatly. We now move on to our discussion and approval. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve 8.01, gifts, donations, and/or memorials acceptance.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.01, gifts, donations, and/or memorials acceptance. We are now open for discussion. Director Cook, would you like to take this today?
Sure. Let's see. So it looks like we've got quite a few today. So the first one that we have is
Director Williams,
the
would you like to
Chatelaines
step in on that
Booster
one?
Club.
Sure. I just want to call out and thank going to Kent Ridge High School, the purchase of dance team uniforms for coaches and other team expenses from, please help me on how to pronounce it.
Chatelaines.
Chatelaines Booster Club for $1,248.
They've won over 20 times at state.
That's amazing.
Which is next weekend.
To Ridgewood Elementary for the 5th grade field trip to Biztown from the Ridgewood parents, $751. The 1st grade field trip to Carpenito Brothers from Ridgewood parents, $709. 4th grade field trip to Camp Waskowitz, thank you, Ridgewood parents, $1,384. And the kindergarten field trip to Seattle Children's Theater, Ridgewood parents, $561. And then finally, general supplies from Dorian Photography, also going to Ridgewood Elementary School for $500. To Cedar Valley Elementary School, the purchase of DJ services for the spring dance, the Cedar Valley PTA, $2,300. That sounds super fun. Cedar Heights Middle School, 2025-2026 dance team jackets from the Sparks Dance Boosters Club, $1,592. And the Lake Youngs Elementary School had a first grade field trip from Lake Young's PTSA for $584.30. Thank you so much to all our donors. We super appreciate all of the support that you provide for our students.
Thank you very much. Seeing that there's no further discussion, a motion's been made and second for approval of item 8.01, gifts, donations, and or memorials acceptance. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Sorry, can you hear me right now?
I can see him unmuting.
I can see him unmuting.
Is there an abstention?
All
Director
right,
Cook?
just a second.
There he is.
Oh, we've lost Director Cook. We will continue on as we still have a quorum. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve item 8.02, second reading and approval of policy 6114, gifts or donations.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.02, second reading and approval of policy 6114, gifts or donations. We're now open for discussion. Seeing as there is none, there is a motion on the floor for approval of 8.02, second reading and approval of policy 6114, gifts or donations. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 3-0.
Okay. Director.
Sorry, I don't know if, can you guys hear me now?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I don't know what happened. I wasn't able to get in there and talk. Did you already move through the last one? I had some questions I wanted to ask, but.
Which one? 8.02?
8.02.
We did. We voted. It's been approved 3-0.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve 8.03, second reading and approval of policy 6120, investment of funds.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.03, second reading and approval of policy 6120, investment of funds. We're now open for discussion.
Is this, I wanted to clarify that I was going back through my notes and we put in the language that's in our, maybe I have the wrong one, hold on. I'm pulling up the, nope, this is the wrong policy. Sorry, my bad, wrong one.
Seeing as there's no further discussion, a motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.03, second reading and approval of policy 6120, investment of funds. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve 8.04, second reading and approval of policy 6213, travel authorization and reimbursement for travel expenses.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.04, second reading and approval of policy 6213, travel authorization and reimbursement for travel expenses. We are now open for discussion. Seeing as there is none, there's a motion made and seconded for approval of 8.04, second reading and approval of policy 6213, travel authorization and reimbursement for travel expenses. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve 8.05, second reading and approval of policy 6214, employee recognition.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.05, second reading and approval of policy 6214, employee recognition. We're now open for discussion.
I wanted to clarify, this is one I wanted to clarify on. We did the $50, was that because of a tax implication? I can't remember. I went back through my notes and I apologize. I just wanted to make sure that that's the IRS limit.
Yeah, I know it
believe
was
it's
not to
usually
exceed
considered
$50.
De minimis.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Seeing that there's no further discussion, a motion has been made and seconded for approval of item 8.05, second reading and approval of policy 6214, employee recognition. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve 8.06, second reading and approval of policy 6225, use of electronic signature.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.06, second reading and approval of policy 6225, use of electronic signature. We are now open for discussion. Seeing as there is none, a motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.06, second reading and approval of policy 6225, use of electronic signature. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye. Aye.
The motion carries 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve 8.07, second reading and approval of policy 6240, food and beverage consumption.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.07, second reading and approval of policy 6240, food and beverage consumption. We're now open for discussion. Seeing as there is none, a motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 8.07, second reading and approval of policy 6240, food and beverage consumption. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0. We now move on to the consent agenda. Is there any items that anybody would like to pull?
I would like to pull the sunrise, 9.03.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'm sorry. 9.01 to 9.03, they're all route repair. They're all the same thing, just different schools, so can we buckle them together?
What you can do, and you can choose not to pull that, and just, since we are going to have discussion,
Yeah.
you can discuss it for, within
Okay.
all of the items
Then I'll
there.
just pull 9.01 to make it simple. I'm going to retract. I'm going to pull 9.01, Meridian Elementary School asphalt route repair, additional funding.
Okay. Not pulling 9.03.
Not pulling 9.03.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
Can I
Oh, yes, sorry.
pull, let's see, it's 9.12 vouchers?
9.12 vouchers, okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve items 9.02 through 9.11 and 9.13.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of items 9.02 through 9.11 and 9.13. We are now open for discussion. Seeing as there is none, a motion's been made to approve items 9.02 through 9.11 and 9.13. All those in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve 9.01 Meridian Elementary School asphalt route repair additional funding.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 9.01 Meridian Elementary School asphalt route repair additional funding. We're now open for discussion.
So I have questions on the, is there a broader, so my question is, we're doing additional funding from the fund balance to pay for the construction. There was grind to base the overlay, existing outfall repair, et cetera, et cetera. The original project was based in 2018. I know there's cost adjustments for inflation. I get all of that. But my concern is there are a lot of trees in those 3 elementary schools. And should we be looking at removing those trees to not have this problem in the future? And I know we don't like cutting down trees, but I'm worried because I'm seeing a pattern with those trees are getting larger, right? My kids went to Sunrise, so I've seen the trees grow up and they're encroaching. So is there a plan? Should we do a plan, or are we doing a plan
No,
for that?
appreciate the question. Mr. Scribner is here to maybe share kind of how we go through a process to look at root systems.
Yes.
Particularly if we have projects. So, Mr. Scribner?
Yes, President Margell, members of the board, Superintendent Vela, Ms. Curry. Yeah, I appreciate your question. And just to clarify, a lot of these route repairs are, as a lot of the roots that affect the asphalt grow in between the base, the compacted base layer and the asphalt overlay. So when we grind a base, we also remove that root that is problematic and then repave over. The only site of these 4 sites that I can think would benefit from some trees being removed would probably be Ridgewood Elementary. Sunrise, I don't, the tree is already gone, it's just the root
Yeah.
is there and the damage has been done. But there's no longer a tree that will grow once that's fixed.
So the only reason why I bring this up is because I know as a homeowner, and I know that the ball of the tree is still alive. I mean, most people don't realize that, and the roots can still grow. And so do we make a policy then to remove the root ball when we can, or do we leave the stump, basically? Or do we do it depending on the situation of where it's at?
Yeah, I think it's a case-by-case basis.
Mhm.
And, you know, I think we can always reach out to our maintenance team or an arborist if we feel that a tree will continue to pose destruction on our surfaces.
Is there a plan to replace any of the trees that we've taken out? I know parents have asked that because some have fallen and everything. Do we have a plan for replacing I'm guessing greenery, right? Not necessarily the same tree in the same place causing the same problem. Don't want to do that, but to replace to make it more aesthetically pleasing, or different bush plants and everything?
Not in these particular projects. We're not removing trees associated with this asphalt repair.
Right.
Some trees have been removed in the past, and there's more of just a coverage shrubbery that has taken its place. That is a good question. As trees are removed, I would suggest removing trees on the south and the west sides of the properties and the buildings and planting them on the north and the east sides, just to keep that, you know, the wind debris off the buildings.
One thing I do want to, for the board, is tree removal. We don't just remove, if we have a project, we take a look at removal.
Right.
Sometimes we don't know how in-depth the root system might be, so that's one. The other one is, trees sometimes are diseased, and
Right.
so they may pose a danger, so that could also be a reason why remove branches potentially, but
Right.
we first make sure. The other one is safety. As you know, camera systems sometimes are blocked out, or even wires that might be running across, either network wires and that. So teams always are looking at that, but I just want to let the board know there's all different reasons that we may want to, you know, that. But I do also want to say, if we were to remove trees because we needed to, we definitely look into, so what else could we put there that would not be a safety concern, a disease issue, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think is important, kids love the aesthetic, you know, like I go out to the different schools and they're like, we love the playground because it's got all these trees or this or that. And so you don't want to take those, you don't want it to be a concrete jungle, right? We want it to have greenery and everything, but we want to do it in a way that's not going to impact the buildings. And I think, you know, when you're out in the community and we're talking about those things, we're trying to educate people, like there is a broader problem with our, you know, you can't just pave over it because it will cause problems in the future, or root systems will go down and then they crack foundations and there's all other work that needs to be done. So that's why I wanted to
Right.
call it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scribner.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Seeing as there is no other questions, a motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 9.01, Meridian Elementary School asphalt root repair additional funding. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
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 The motion carries 4-0. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve 9.12 vouchers.
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded for approval of item 9.12 vouchers. We're now open for discussion.
Sorry, I just wanted to thank Director Gregory for doing that for me. I was a little slow to the draw there. So I just have some concerns about some of the things that we've been spending our money on. And so I will just be choosing to vote no on this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can you clarify your concerns, Director Cook?
Yes, the legal expenses that we've been spending on that I do not think are appropriate.
Seeing that there's no other comments, A motion's been made and second for approval of item 9.12 vouchers. All those in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, raise your right hand, say nay.
Nay.
The motion carries 3-1. We now move on to our informational items, and those are there and have been included, I believe, since last Friday for you to look at. We now also move to our final communication from the audience. I believe we have 4 to 5 comments from our audience. Our first speaker is Nicole Harris. Nicole Harris. We'll give just a moment in case Nicole is still in our overflow room. Okay. Jenny Irwin. Jenny Irwin. Okay. Hamada Hagar? Hagar? Thank you. Next speaker, Says, and I'm going to Louangphakdy. And the last one is Mary Cox. Okay. We do have one video. We'll go ahead and play that now.
Good evening, Kent School District Board of Directors and Superintendent Vella. My name is Allison Miller, and I am a KSD resident and mother to 4 students in the dual language program, all currently attending Scenic Hill Elementary. I recently sent you an embarrassingly long email regarding the dual language program here in KSD, of which I would like to read an excerpt of what I feel is the most pressing issue. But I highlighted multiple topics, including enrollment and transportation, if you feel so inspired to revisit my message. It would be an understatement to say my students are thriving in the dual language program. We are very proud parents of not only our students' second language acquisition, but also of their academic achievements across all content areas. I could rave about Scenic Hill and the dual language program all day. I don't think I need to waste anyone's time here explaining the benefits of dual language programs, both as a multilingual education model and as a general education model for native English speakers such as my family. I will simply say that the data is irrefutable. Dual language programs consistently produce students who outscore their peers in English-only classrooms across all content areas, not just language arts. I recently discovered that the dual language middle school does not have a dedicated Spanish language arts class. This discrepancy has been justified to dual language families by explaining that half of their classes are available in Spanish, so students receive Spanish language instruction in those classes. I put half in quotations because not all middle school dual language students, in fact, take a full half of their course load in Spanish. But first, I ask you, in what universe do we expect math teachers, science teachers, and social studies teachers to also effectively teach English language arts principles during their class time? So why would we ask this of our Spanish-speaking teachers? Not only does this approach take away from time in those teachers' content area, but it also leaves a huge learning gap for students. Students are not appropriately developing their language skills, and they also aren't learning their other course content in full. At elementary school and high school within the dual language program, there's designated Spanish language arts instruction. But we just leave that up to chance for 3 years of middle school. Particularly maddening to me is this information given that the program has been operating at the middle school for roughly 7 years. 7 years of a dual language program without a core SLA class in the middle school is bananas. No wonder dual language families leave the program at middle school. Their students aren't even receiving their basic general education there. Other Washington school districts with dual language programs in middle schools manage to offer language arts courses in their program's target languages, so it's not like we're reinventing the wheel here. Further, neighboring districts, both with and without dual language programs, also have some sort of world language Spanish offering at the middle school level. But that also is not currently an option for students in KSD. So there are courses in Spanish, but not one single Spanish language course in our district's dual language middle school, and that is a problem.
Thank you to all of our community that came out and gave comments tonight. Our last topic tonight is our board reports. I will start with Director Cook.
All right, I have a few things tonight. First, policy 6114. That vote happened before I could speak to it. I was trying to unmute, and I understand the board could see that I was attempting to unmute, but the vote moved forward without recognizing me. When I was finally able to say that I had questions, the response was to move on. That's unfortunate because I had done my homework on this one. I spent time tonight reviewing the board's own history with this policy. What I found is that in 2013, this board voted to require board approval for donations of any amount at all. The minutes from that meeting say why. To strengthen fiscal controls and to make sure the board, not individual administrators, had the authority to approve gifts for IRS purposes. Tonight, we just voted to raise that threshold to $10,000. Based on what I can find in the record, that is the highest board approval threshold this policy has ever had in its 32-year history. Donations up to $10,000 can now be approved by a single building administrator without ever coming to the board for a vote. Maybe that's the right call, but the board deserved to have the chance to ask whether the concerns we documented in 2013 have actually been addressed, or whether we just moved on from them. I'll be submitting my questions in writing for the record. Second, I want to speak to the community members who came out tonight about library paraeducator positions. You were heard. These are positions that directly serve students in schools, and the number of people who showed up tonight makes clear how much these roles matter to our communities. But here's what concerns me. We had more people who wanted to speak tonight than our public comment window could accommodate. Our current structure gives the community 30 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. If you don't make it into that window, your only option is to wait until the very end, which tonight was after 9 o'clock. Nobody stayed, and I don't blame them. When community members take time out of their evening to come participate in their own governance, our meeting structure should not make it practically impossible for them to be heard. I think we need to revisit how we handle public comment, and I'd like the board to consider that seriously. Third, and this is a separate matter, I want to give the board notice that I will be formally submitting a written request for independent legal counsel at district expense. The statutory basis is RCW 4.96.041 and RCW 28A.320.100. As the board is aware, Superintendent Bella's personal attorneys have demanded mediation and threatened legal action against me for conduct arising from my official duties as an elected director.
You should not be discussing
State
that.
law provides for district-funded defense in exactly
Director Cook.
these circumstances.
Director
This board
Cook.
authorized
Director
that same
Cook.
protection for
Director
directors
Cook.
Margell and Clark in
Director
March of
Cook.
last year.
Director
and under
Cook.
the same statutory
Director Cook.
framework. My
Director
formal
Cook.
request will be submitted
Director
to
Cook.
President Margell after
Director
review
Cook.
by my attorney.
Director
and
Cook.
will need to be placed on the
Director
agenda
Cook.
for board action at
Director
the next
Cook.
available
Director
regular
Cook.
meeting. I'm raising this
Director
now so
Cook.
there are no surprises and so the board
Director
has time
Cook.
to prepare. Thank
Director
you very
Cook.
much. Good night.
Director Cook.
For the record, I just wanted to note, President Margell, members of the board, that discussion should not have taken place out on this dais. Thank you.
Acknowledged. Director Williams. For the record, Director Cook has left the meeting at 9:09.
Okay. I want to thank our labor partners for being here tonight. Specifically, I know we had folks from Meridian Middle, Mill Creek, Jenkins Creek, Fairwood, and Sawyer Woods. I am so grateful for your active participation in our school board meeting and for showing up and having your voices heard. It is so important that we hear from our educators, from our folks who are in the classroom. It's really valuable. I wanted to share about our joint council meeting yesterday. It was such a pleasure to sit at the table and work with our Kent City Council, getting to partner up with our partners in Kent, getting to hear about the impressive work that Ms. Cleveland and Mr. Ellis from Kent City are working on around investing in STEM at all grade levels, as well as creating partnerships with our aerospace industry companies in the area to place students into employee opportunities. It's an extremely invaluable resource that our community and our teachers and our schools have the opportunity to use, and I'm very, very excited about it. I would like to encourage the public, families, and high school teachers to watch our meeting from that joint meeting from last night, specifically that presentation. It truly just gets me so excited and jazzed up about all of the opportunities that are taking place in the Kent Valley, and I'm really excited to see it expand. Thank you. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Director Williams. And also, again, thank you for stepping in and doing our legislative update tonight. Our next update is Vice President Gregory.
I want to acknowledge that I attended last week. We had the league conference. I was able to attend the dual language program track. So I got the opportunity to go to Mill Creek, I got the opportunity to go to KLA, and I got the opportunity to go to Scenic Hill. I know there's been a lot of public comment about how much did this cost and why did we do this and cost to educators. And I want to explain something that we can't put a dollar value on. So there are two key things I want to highlight. The first one is professional development of our staff. They had the opportunity, after they presented on Tuesday and had people come to their schools, on Wednesday, they hosted a 45-minute to an hour session and talked about exactly how their program is working and how that's showing up and the benefits, and they got targeted questions from people who are interested about that track. And you can't provide that. I can't send someone to professional development and get that opportunity. It is a unique opportunity. They got questions from across the nation. We had participants, superintendents, principals, staff, school board. They get hot seat, so basically they have that opportunity of thoughtfully answering the question and then presenting, and you can't buy that presentation ability. And I want to just say thank you. I know Dr. Kim and a lot of other people and the school district thoughtfully put that together, and for professional development for our educators, it's huge. I want to call out our school development. Giving kids the opportunity to talk to adults and giving them the opportunity to share their experience is invaluable. You cannot bottle that. I can't give that to someone. We talk about camp and them going and being, the mentors to other ones. I was at Mill Creek, and they're in the hot seat, right? They're going to sit up there. There's a school panel. I'm not going to tell you who was there, but there were girls and boys. They answered the questions in both Spanish and English. So they would be asked the question, and then they would give us the Spanish answer, which I was able to follow most of the time. And then they gave it in English, the same answer. So they basically live translated themselves. And I cannot tell you that experience for our students to have the opportunity to do that, and also to lead the groups and talk to people and share that educational activity we can't bottle. I can't tell you we cannot bottle that. They are going to remember that. They're going to look back at that, and they're going to say, I grew from that experience. The kids at the elementary school, again, we were led by a student. They talked about why it was important. She explained to me why she doesn't like being partnered with people, but it's done randomly, and you just have to learn to work together. Like fourth graders telling me, fifth graders are telling me, I'm learning to work together. Those are life skills that we're teaching them today that they grow into. And I want to thank the parents. We had several parents that came and sat on the panel to share their experience about our dual language program and shared what was going on. And I have to tell you, taking time out of their day, coming and sitting on the panel, and then sharing their experiences, again, taking questions from the audience, and then helping people understand why this program is so important. I cannot think the valuable for us to be recognized at a national level, and then to have this unique opportunity. Because it wasn't just those schools, we had 4 tracks, and almost all schools, they got this opportunity to present and to educate and an opportunity of a lifetime. So I understand that people get upset because are we spending money on this activity? Why are we doing this? We have a budget deficit. When these opportunities come knocking, we cannot replicate them. And sometimes we have to make the decision to say, we are going to be in this. Now, when we got asked to do it last year, we didn't know we were going to be in a budget crisis this year. We did not see that. I mean, we saw maybe it was going to happen, but we did not know with the new presidency and the federal government and all the things that have happened. The decision was made last year at a time when we thought this is going to be a great opportunity. Still a great opportunity. We did get funding for lunches. And the last thing I want to talk about is the opportunity at lunchtime at KLA. We got an amazing group of students to provide a small cultural event, beautiful singing, dancing. It was so much fun. And I got to sit and talk to people, and they're like, our students would never do that. I could never get our students to do that. And I was like, it's a unique opportunity. So please understand that what we gave our students and our staff was development that we could not buy. It's priceless. That cost is priceless. Thank you.
Thank you. I was also going to talk about League of Innovative Schools, but you have a very impassioned response, and I also just wanted to say thank you very much to our district for really highlighting Kent School District at a national level. It was great to pop in and see what was going on. It was, not planned. No one knew who I was, and just someone coming up to Kent School District and specifically to Dr. Kim and saying, "You're the bomb." And I'm going to, oh, you were dope. Oh, that's right. And, well, I'm going to say you're both the bomb and you're dope. And it was just really, it was great to hear at a national level Kent getting the accolades for all of the great things that happen in this district. And it was great to hear the community partnership that we had with City of Kent, our business community, and seeing that carried over into our conversation that we had with City of Kent last night. Thank you very much for Director Williams and Director Gregory for representing Kent School District Board with myself there, and then, of course, Mayor Ralph and the council for being there. There are over 200 businesses in the city of Kent, in the Kent Valley, just in aerospace and outer space technology. And we are getting our kids ready for those jobs that are getting vacated and are coming, that don't even exist yet today. And that is something so exciting. When we talk about preparing students for success, we're preparing them for the jobs that will exist when they graduate and will continue to exist. And I just, these are the things that we need to spend time on and talk about, is the amazing things that our students are doing and the work that's being done in this district that really makes us a standout district within the nation. Always kind of putting it back on our kids. I had the opportunity to see, I think, my first softball game. I know. Girls softball, Hazen versus Kent Ridge. Got to see them on the beautiful new fields at Lindbergh. Really excited about the fields that are coming at Kent Ridge here. And we did win 18-0. It was pretty fantastic. But it wasn't the score that was so great. It was everybody on the bench cheering on every single player, no matter their skill level. Coaches being amazing and positive throughout the entire interaction, and the families that just came out, aunts and uncles and cousins and moms and dads and everybody cheering. It was fantastic. And even a shout out to our very own Mr. Clark. Showed up just to cheer on the team. So that was really fun to see him there too. Also had the opportunity to see the Auburn versus Kent Ridge track and field. And again, just seeing kids do their thing And, while the coaches are wonderful and supporting, it's really great to hear, the seniors coaching the, freshmen and sophomores. They're trying something new and doing something different. And really, that's what it's all about. I know I talk about sports, but really it's the life lessons that go into making them the adults and the amazing citizens that will continue representing Kent for their lifetime to go. We have our board retreat coming up on April 1st, and really excited to hear that budget update. It will correspond with hopefully getting more concrete data. While the data is not always exactly what we would like it to be, at least we know what it is, and we can make those plans and move from there. So with that, thank you to our students. Had the great opportunity to speak to one of our students from Kentwood tonight as he was here for a civics class. But whether you're here or in our schools, we thank you. And you are the reason why we do this work every day. It is 9:21 and we are adjourned.